advertisement with sufficient notice herein to the Home News Tribune. 2, filing advance written notice of the meeting with City Clerk's office. And 3, posting of the notice on the public website of the Housing Authority. During the meeting, participants, including members of the public, may be muted by the host. However, there will be an opportunity for them to participate and speak during the public portion of the meeting, where participants will be unmuted at their request. Ready for the roll? Commissioner Walde.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap. Oh, hey, Commissioner. Yes, I see you. Commissioner Medina Hernandez. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, no worries. I see you. Yep. Commissioner Caldwell is not here, and Chair.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Fantastic.
Pledge of Allegiance, Chair.
Pledge.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands
One nation
Under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
You have the consideration of the meeting minutes from the February meeting.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see.
Need a motion in a second.
Yeah. Motion.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who moved it?
I motion.
Oh, you did, Chair? Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Ready.
Commissioner Walde.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda. Commissioner Cepeda, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm so used to being on the screen.
No problem. All right, Commissioner Dunlap. Commissioner Dunlap? On the minutes?
You're on mute.
I think he's on his cell. Is that a yes, thumbs up? Okay. Commissioner Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
All right, and Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Chair, I didn't know if you wanted to go into the resolutions or you want to do public comment now, whatever pleases you.
We can put public comment on the front.
Okay.
Do you have anybody here? No, I'm not seeing anything.
Hi, can you hear me? Charlie Cradaville.
Yep, I can hear you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick today. I wanted to ask, is there any limit on the number of executive director or interim executive director positions that one person can occupy at a given time?
Within our organization or period?
In public housing authorities.
To my knowledge, no. John, do you know of any?
Chair, there's no, well, actually, your attorney has the answer, but go ahead.
Yeah.
There's a New Jersey regulation that speaks about interlocal services and about housing authorities that jointly employ executive directors. And that's a state limit of 3 without waiver from HUD or the state, but it applies to housing authorities that jointly retain in their direct employment housing authorities through an interlocal services agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, does the authority have a plan for what to do with the funds when they do arrive from Russo Development? Is there any discussion about locations for, building or how you're going to make use of the $1 million?
Just a point of order. The actual the nonprofit would be the entity that controls those funds, Chair.
Correct.
Got it. So, who is on the board of that entity?
Yeah, it's a mirror board, but they do not have, to my knowledge, right now they have not gotten their plan together for the use of those funds.
Got it.
But I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will make that public once they do.
Right, and their meetings would have to be public, right? Since it's, you say, a mirror board, correct?
I will defer to Mr. or your attorney on that, Chair.
I'll allow the attorney to speak on that.
Private nonprofits do not have to abide by the Open Public Meetings Act. Public entities do, and this would be a private nonprofit entity.
Okay, well, yet another reason that this was a bad deal for the people of New Brunswick, and you know, really disappointed in those who did the right thing and then changed their votes. It was really atrocious. I wanted to ask more broadly about affordable housing, you know, what's in the works, and, you know, do you have like a goal for how many affordable housing units the city's going to be able to produce and bring online in any given, you know, time frame? Do you have any metrics you're looking at, or you know, any numbers you can give me on meeting that need of affordable housing construction?
Good.
Chair, I'm not aware of a goal of number,
Right.
but I will say that any affordable housing that can be produced would be used quite quickly. I think everyone understands that there is a need for additional affordable housing at all levels, and senior housing particularly here.
Right.
Right, which brings me to my next question, Hoffman Pavilion. It's been now over a decade since the authority tore down the building. That was 60 some, maybe even 70 units that have been offline. You know, when are we going to see construction activity there, and when will that project be restored?
Chair?
Hoffman, go ahead, John.
Okay, so yeah, Hoffman was actually 60 public housing units and was phased to be built back in 2 phases. The first replacement phase of Hoffman was completed and occupied. That's a 53-unit development at 55 Harvey Street. It contains 26 public housing replacement units, as well as project-based voucher units and affordable units. So 53 units were already built back in the first phase. The second phase is on the on-site build back, which is the proposed on-site Hoffman unit, that component that I believe Mr. Cradaville is speaking about, where the demolition occurred. That actually received a 2019 tax credit award. An extension was given on that award, obviously, because of COVID issues and challenges. It's our hope to financially close by the end of this year and be under construction in the spring of 24.
Okay.
So that goal would actually replace units back on site. But the first phase has already replaced and brought back, since 2013, 26 of the 60 original public housing units that were on the Hoffman site.
Okay.
The last thing I wanted to bring up, I got a report that there was brown water being, you know, distributed out of people's faucets on Wright Place a couple days ago. You know, I contacted the water utility, and they told me that they did, in fact, flush the hydrants because of work that was being done by a contractor. And I wanted to understand how that happened and why the residents were not notified that this would be happening. Typically, when the city does flush the hydrants, they will give you advance notice to the residents. But in this case, it did not appear that occurred, and I want to understand what led to this happening, and you know, how can we make sure that doesn't happen again?
Gotcha.
Chair, actually, the residents were notified about a water meter replacement on Wright Place. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Mr. Cradaville. The residents actually received a notice on Wright Place of a water meter replacement. When the city flushes hydrants or does their other activities and their maintenance, that's a city component. They don't typically notify us when they're doing that, or anyone else when they do those activities. But I do know that there was a meter replacement that occurred earlier this month, I think last week, and notices did go out to it only affected one side of Wright Place essentially, but notices did go out to that area for the tenants, and we didn't receive any complaints of any issues that tenants had when that meter was replaced. So I'm not sure, you know, if the other activity we're talking about.
I heard from someone a Monday evening at about 8:30.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be us. No, that's ours occurred last, I think, on the 12th or something like that, 13th. So yeah, that wouldn't have been. That's a city. I can ask. I can find out.
Yeah, I'm curious because I did, as I said, call the water utility myself, and they informed me that a contractor had been doing some work, which was what prompted the hydrant flushing.
There was
so-
a contractor out on Van Dyke Ave.
Okay,
I don't know if that may have been.
Not doing work for the housing authority.
No.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, thank you. I did want to just raise that issue, and I appreciate you answering all my questions tonight. Have a good evening.
Fantastic. All right. Anyone else during the open public comment? I'm not saying anything on my side, John. You want to move on?
Yeah, Chair, you want to defer to the redevelopment matters first?
Yeah, let's do those
Okay.
first.
I will read the redevelopment resolutions. Resolution number 13, acting as a redevelopment agency, is a redevelopment approving appraisal performed by Integra Realty Resources for the acquisition of 125 Georges Road, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Excuse me, in connection with the Fulton Square redevelopment project. You need a move in a second, and then you can take, Mr. Hoffman is here to speak on the project.
I move. Do we have a second?
I
I'll
second.
second. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. The first three resolutions deal with the Fulton Square project. That's a project whereby we appointed a redeveloper, which is Fulton Square Urban Renewal LLC, a subsidiary of Edgewood Properties. We've also approved the redevelopment agreement, which has been amended. Just to refresh your recollection, the project consists of a 5-story building with 13,000 square feet of retail, 2,000 square feet of office, and 210 residential units with 406 parking spaces. Under the redevelopment agreement, the redeveloper has control, either owns or under contract, all the property except for 2 narrow lots. They're each about 10,000 square feet and they're about 30 foot wide. The housing authority, under the agreement, agreed that if the redeveloper couldn't acquire them, that the housing authority would acquire them pursuant to the agreement, being reimbursed by the redeveloper for all the costs of the housing authority and the value of the property. The housing authority therefore went out to get both appraisals on the property and an environmental analysis, because any acquisition, the appraisals assume the property is clean. So if there is some environmental contamination, that would be deducted from the purchase price. And the resolutions you have before you, the first three are 2 to approve appraisals and 1 to approve the environmental report. The first appraisal, which was done by Integra Realty Resources, 125 Georges Road. It's block 29201, lot 202, owned by Ronald Morello. It's an industrial warehouse use consisting of 2 tenants with approximately 10,000 square feet of land and 2,300 square feet of building. The appraiser used the sales comparison approach and the income capitalization approach. Both resulted in a value of $350,000 if clean. The resolution also appoints John Clark and myself as negotiators with the property owner to attempt to buy the property. This property does have a warehouse on it, which has 2 tenants, and the city will be preparing for the housing authority a workable redevelopment plan, which has to be approved by the Division of Community Affairs.
Chair, we're going to take actions on these separately. So if you want to, we'll be doing the votes, and then Mr. Hoffman will talk about the next one and the next one.
Okay, that's fine.
So if you have any, I don't know if you have questions, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chair.
Did they complete the environmental study yet on this?
The first phase was completed and found that there is some contamination on both sites. And
Who's going to do the cleaning?
That's the third resolution.
Yeah, Mr. Hoffman, who's going to do the cleaning?
The cleanup would be done by the redeveloper.
Oh, okay.
Or the redevelopment. And some of the cleanup, some of the remedy as indicated by the report could be done by, for example, if the property is paved over parts of it, that could consist of some of the remediation.
Okay. That's it. I don't have any answers.
Chair, you ready for action on the first item?
Yeah, we're ready for action on first. You said there were 210 residential units on this particular project?
Yes.
Do we have affordable set asides for those?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
This is the second phase. There's a Fulton Square 1, which is completed already, and I'm not sure how many units there are there.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. You said
This is the second phase of the Fulton Square project. There's a Fulton Square 1 is completed. There are residential units on, and I forget exactly how many, but it's a couple of hundred, I believe.
And those had affordable built in on phase 1?
I don't believe so, but I'm not sure, Chair. I can check it and tell John that at a later time if you want.
Okay. I think that's important to the conversation. Yurgo?
Yeah. I know we got some compensation on the Sears project since they didn't have any affordable units. How come we didn't have anything on this one?
Well, there wasn't any provision for compensation. I mean, it doesn't even brought up, you know.
Even developer's fee to the agency?
That was paid.
That was paid. Okay.
And the ordinance for the developer, the city has an ordinance requires the developer to also pay a fee, and that was also paid.
All right.
So, John, at the first phase of the Fulton Square, is there a way to find, so we said that we didn't have affordable units there in the first phase?
That's my recollection.
Okay, so now this being the second phase, so we don't have for affordable units at the second phase.
That's correct.
So can we look back and seeing a certain percentage of affordable units to be a part of the second phase, considering, you know, where we're at and everything like that?
Well,
Can that be looked at?
It can be looked at. There's no provision in the redevelopment plan for there to be a portion of affordables.
Would like to,
You follow the redevelopment plan, and if the redevelopment plan had affordables in, they would be required to put it, but this plan did not have any requirement for affordables.
okay.
I think the concern is all these projects are coming in without any affordable units, you know, is, I don't know why, you know.
So what are you looking at as far,
I'd like to look at the viability of actually putting some affordable into this and see what we can do to make those numbers work and keep the project on track.
So just, Chair, just a point of order. These
Yeah.
items are actually for the appraisal and the
This is for the
environmental
appraisal.
tonight.
Yeah, no, I get that.
No, I understand the bigger question is,
I get that as well too.
Yeah.
And I know the environmental that had to be done, but as I go along with the chair as well too, and with Yurgu, that we need to look at also some affordable housing, with this area, with this being built and everything. So I understand what you're saying, John.
Yeah, I don't want to move this along outside of that context.
So right now, what we're looking at is focusing on the environmental
No,
that
right
was
now we're looking
completed,
at-
that was done.
But right now, we're looking at this resolution
Appraisal.
is approving the appraisal
Yeah.
for 125 Georges Road. That's all it deals with. We went out for quotes. We got the appraiser was appointed by this board, and they filed their appraisal, and this is to approve the appraisal and authorize John Clark and myself to negotiate to acquire this property. It's two narrow sites, each about a little less than 10,000 square feet. This site has two tenants on it. I believe one's a tire and the other's a machine shop. And they would have to be relocated, and the city's working on a workable relocation plan.
Okay, so they have to be relocated. So now the city is working with relocation for these two businesses?
But they're working on a plan which has to get approved, then they will work with and these costs are all reimbursed by the redeveloper.
Okay, because that's my concern as well too, is that with these businesses that are there, that also to have a location.
They have to have a plan approved by the Department of Community Affairs, which provides for the various areas where where people can be relocated at all the costs. You're relocating the personal fee, so all the costs of relocating their personal fee.
Okay, I understand having a plan, but also having a plan of action that it is done, that there is a place, physical place for those businesses to go to.
Well, the law requires the plan to look at places and tell the tenants, here are places that you can go to. And then it's up to the tenant to make the decision as to where he wants to go. Or she
Okay,
wants
so-
to go.
I don't have any further questions, Chair.
No. No further questions from any of the board members.
No.
All right, do we have motions on this?
You have a motion and a second active, Chair. You just need to vote. Call the vote.
You call the vote.
Okay, Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner, and Chair, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's vote on this. Yes.
That's a yes, okay. Resolution number 14 is a resolution acting as redevelopment agency, resolution approving appraisal performed by Integra Realty Resources for the acquisition of 340 Paul Robeson Boulevard, New Brunswick, New Jersey, in connection with the Fulton Square redevelopment project.
This resolution deals.
Sorry, Council, we need a move in a second.
Sorry, go ahead.
You'll move?
Second.
Go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
This deals with 340 Paul Robeson Boulevard, which just adjoins the other site. It's again a narrow site, about 30 foot wide. It's block 290, 201, block 201, and it's owned by K. Gaddick Inc. And it consists of, has on it an abandoned building. It's been abandoned for a couple of years. The appraisal used a sales comparison approach. The result was that the building is valued at $110,000, assuming it's clean. The resolution approves the appraisal and authorizes the acquisition by the negotiation or eminent domain, with the negotiators again being John Clark and myself. The price assumes there are no environmental issues.
Do we have a motion?
No, you have a motion and a second, Chair. You're open for questions from the board.
Any questions on this?
Just, Chair, I have a question. Just again, clarification that it's appraisal for the land, that the environmental for 340, correct?
This is not environmental. The next resolution deals with the environmental. This deals with the appraisal of 340 Paul Robeson, the Boulevard, which is a lot of about 10,000 square feet with an abandoned building on it.
Okay.
There's no one in the building, and in fact, I think there's,
Yes, I saw that in the report and the photos. I saw that.
yes.
Okay.
And it's evaluated at $110,000 clean.
All right, no further
Ready?
questions.
Ready, Chair?
Ready.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda? Was that a yes? Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, no, that's okay. Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 15, acting as redevelopment agency, is a resolution approving environmental assessment report, environmental cost chart, and limited asbestos containing materials survey report on properties known as 125 Georges Road, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and 340 Paul Robeson Boulevard, New Brunswick, New Jersey, prepared by Vanaz Haglund Brislin, Inc., known as VHB, in connection with the Fulton Square redevelopment project.
This third resolution is the.
Oh, Counselor, I'm sorry, you need an action from
I'm
the.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Chair.
I apologize.
Go ahead, Chair.
We have an action motion.
Motion. Move.
So Walde moves, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Counselor.
This third resolution deals with an environmental report prepared by VHB. The report's on evidence. that there would lead you to conclude that there was some contamination on both sites. The resolution approves the report and instructs the negotiators, which are John Clark and myself, to consider the cost of the environmental remediation in connection with the acquisition of the properties. The cost estimate, there are cost estimates for both the asserted land contamination and the asbestos removal. And under the law, when you acquire property or condemn property, the appraisals deal with it as if the property is clean, and then you get an environmental report. And if we go to condemnation, you would put the amount of money, the fair value in court, and you would then have a file environmental report, which could hold off whatever the cost would be to clean the property. That's the procedure in environmental. Hopefully, if we could, John or myself are successful in negotiating an agreement, we would deduct the appropriate amount for environmental. And there's a chart that outlines the further testing they recommend. They did extensive testing on the report. I don't know, John, if you have it, the report is like 2 feet high.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it. I sent it to them. They all got zip drives.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for the size of it, but it is a pretty substantial report, as the board members saw.
And this property goes back to use. In fact, believe it or not, it was used back in the 1800s as there were trolley tracks on the property.
Right? Coal storage or something?
Yeah, and there were also trolley tracks. I don't know where the trolley went, but there were trolley tracks on the property. And it's had uses over the one lot. I think the uses stopped about 4 or 5 years ago. The last was a construction office for construction supplies.
Okay.
They're both very narrow lots, long, narrow lots, right at the edge of this development.
Okay.
I have a question.
You go.
Yeah. What will happen if the environmental cleanup is so expensive that it kind of gets to the purchase price? I mean, in general, I don't want to.
In connection with the acquisition, you couldn't charge them more than what you were paying for it. I mean, you'd have to. But looking at the estimate of the cost, I don't think that'll be a problem here.
No.
Particularly on the $350,000 one, that will definitely not be a problem. On the other one, I don't think it'll be a problem. Some of the contamination is there's debris on the property. So once you remove the debris, that should help. And the other is that they point out that the remediation maybe just the developer either building, I wouldn't be building over because this is on the side of the property, but it could be just paving over the property would cure the contamination. Not cure it, but it would insulate it from the.
They're talking about asbestos, right? So
not the asbestos. The asbestos would have to.
No, that has to go. Yeah, it's preservation in place for the other stuff.
Have to go.
Right.
Is it a factory, an old factory? I'm not familiar with it.
I think it's warehousing more than a factory.
Warehouse. Oh, okay.
And because the one property now has like a machine shop and a tire facility.
Oh, okay.
Just going off Yurgul's question, would this by any chance remediation disturb any of the neighboring like townhouses or apartments in that area?
I don't believe so. I think the property next to this may be the cemetery. I'm not sure. And then of course there's a property that's within the development. This is at the edge of the development.
And I have,
okay, so sorry.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
It's at the edge of it.
So it's right.
Go ahead, Barbara. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it's right at the end, as if you're going into the cemetery. It's not before it, where the auto body shop is.
Well, this property is the auto body shop.
It's that whole. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
and it's across from Fulton Square on the other side.
It's wide, and it goes all the way between Paul Robinson and George's Road.
Okay. My question is once also beginning working on that property, because that's very old. I saw the photos and I'm familiar with that area. Very old. Also, my concern is with water as well too, because there's a Fulton Square area. So any water contamination and just making sure residents knowing and everything, because you're talking about a lot of environmental issues. You're talking about asbestos and everything. my concern is that for any of the residents in that area. So I have a concern about that. So how, making sure that residents are made aware of what's being done in that area with the
Well,
cleanup,
they've gotten planning board approval, so anybody who was a resident was there would know exactly what the project was. Because they went to the planning board and got site plan approval.
You're saying all residents went to the planning board?
No, I said this project went to the planning board. So the residents within 200 feet would have gotten notice of the application.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, the suggestion is, if before environmental cleanup or before construction, maybe we should let the neighborhood know, because most of the people might be working. I think it's a working class neighborhood. They might not have time to come to the planning board. Just
the planning board is over, Jergo. It's over.
Huh?
The planning board has already happened.
No. I mean, when construction starts, at least to let them know. That's what I mean. General information.
All right. Well, John, we can tell the developer that this is a recommendation of.
Yeah. I can talk to the developer about sending out.
Especially water and contamination might affect a lot of people. So.
Well, yeah. Any remediation would have to meet state and other
State.
requirements, and there are notice requirements for certain things. So, I'll talk to the developer about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ready for the vote, Chair? On the environmental? Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Mr. Giorgiani?
Yes.
Mr. Cepeda?
Yes.
Mr. Dunlap?
Yes.
Mr. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes.
And the final redevelopment resolution, acting as redevelopment agency, is a resolution number 16, resolution approving consent to transfer and sale of limited partnership interest of TCF JPM/F LLP to TCV interest owner LLC by New Brunswick Housing Authority, sole owner of MBHA Hope Manor Corporation, and approval of execution of Fourth Amendment to Riverside Urban Renewal Limited Partnership. I know there's a lot there.
Tons. Let's break that apart.
You need an action and a motion, and then we can open.
All right.
I'll move.
Second.
John, you want to take us through it and introduce Counselor?
Yes, I think Mr. Bauman is here and Jacqueline Alexander is here from representing the developer. This is a request to transfer 99.99% of the limited partner interest in the entities from one entity to the other entity. The new entity is owned by Community Builders, and it's also to approve an amendment to the partnership agreement. The Housing Authority here owns an entity called NBHA Hope Manor Corp., which is a Class B limited partner of the partnership and is required under the partnership agreement required to consent in order for this transaction to happen. And then we have two representatives here, Mr. Baumer and Jacqueline Alexander, who could answer any questions that the Housing Authority members may have.
A question?
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Regarding this is the purchase of the Hope Manor development, and Housing Authority has I would say a large amount to spend to buy it, to own it, to purchase it.
No, the Housing Authority is a limited partner. They don't own it. It's just a limited partner. As a limited partner, and they have the right to consent to any sale by the tax equity partner, which owns 99.99% of it.
The Hope Manor development, correct?
That's good. That's the name of the project, right, John?
Yeah, it's just
right.
it's just the entity. It's not the sale of any other component.
Okay, this is resolution 16.
Yes, it is.
Right, I a little reading on that there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I believe Yurgo had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who is TCF GPM/F and then TCV? Just simple explain.
Mr. Baumer or Jacqueline, you want to answer that?
Sure. The community builders, we were the developer of the Hope Manor project, responding to an RFP that was issued many years ago. And so Hope Manor is a low-income housing tax credit affordable housing project that is at the end of its tax credit compliance period. And so right now the tax credit investor is exiting the transaction. And so we're trying to reposition this project with the Housing Authority for another tax credit compliance period, and working on a refinance and a modernization of the project so that we can, keep these quality units still affordable within the community. So we are a nonprofit developer, national developer. We are in 15 states and the District of Columbia. And so we work with housing authorities across the Mid-Atlantic and New York, New Jersey, and the Northeast on maintaining and building affordable housing.
How long do you have for the expiration of the tax credit?
So the tax credit, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bennett.
All right, this has been a bomber. I'm a project manager at the Community Builders, and the tax credit investor is exiting now. That is in process. So it's happening now.
So what's the extension, 15 years or more?
So we would like to do a recapitalization and do some much needed upgrades and look at greening the projects. There's 144 units across Riverside Manor and Riverside and Hope Manor. And we would be looking for a new low-income housing tax credit investor to come in, purchase the credits, and that would be the equity to do repairs and do modernization, as my coworker Jackie said.
I assume you still keep the affordable units, right?
Yes, they would be affordable. Mm-hmm.
We would be extending the affordability for the project
for another, what, 15
at
years?
least another 15 years.
15.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thanks.
so just clarification that the units will still be affordable because, as you indicated, Bennett, that looking to upgrade or fix some of the units and everything, but units will still be affordable
Yes.
for the residents that are currently there.
Yeah, this is a preservation deal. Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure with that as well.
Thank you for.
And those are the units within the existing that phase one, the ones that currently exist, but the ones that are coming online that we're talking about now are coming on at market. That 217 units.
No, different project, Chair.
Project, sorry. I get
Yeah. No, this is Hope Manor Riverside already existing.
Gotcha,
We have
gotcha.
76 project-based vouchers there, and the other units there are tax credit affordable. So the entire development is basically affordable.
Perfect.
100%.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
That's good.
Ready for the vote?
So
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap. Commissioner Dunlap? Oh, you just turned off your mic.
Yes.
Now you're on. Yes, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Medina Hernandez
Yes.
and Chair.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Chair, shall I continue with the resolutions?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bennett. Thanks,
Thank
Jacqueline.
you.
See you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 7 is a resolution ratifying, authorizing, and approving the payment of bills for the months of January and February 2023.
A motion.
Second.
So payment of bills for January and February.
All right.
Thank you very much. Ready?
Ready.
Commissioner Walde. Oh, sorry. Yes, we have the money. Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
Resolution number 8 is a resolution authorizing and approving the capital fund ACC amendment for the New Brunswick Housing Authority for 2023.
Make the motion to accept.
Motion. Second.
Who seconded? Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes. She
Okay.
did.
Chair, as you know, HUD issues capital funds annually. It is a formula-based allocation for housing authorities throughout the country. This year, our capital fund distribution was $1,036,482. HUD requires that we utilize those funds for actions and items specific to our public housing properties.
Right.
We typically use these funds for the administration and operation of our public housing program, as well as replacement modernization work on units, capital repairs, replacement of boilers, hot water heaters, floors, tile, appliances, and so on. So these funds are definitely needed and definitely welcomed. And we are happy to, once this action is taken, we'll load it into the system and hopefully work with HUD to get it released sometime in the spring.
Okay, perfect.
Ready for the vote?
Let's do the vote.
Mr. Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunglap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 9 is resolution.
John, before you go to the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. How's HUD this year? I mean, the last year or two releasing funds?
We've been operating on Chair. We've been operating on very sporadic continuing resolutions.
Mhm.
So it's been quite difficult. I think one continuing resolution was 36 days or something crazy. So it's been sporadic. The major allocations for the program, like the capital funds or the public housing operating subsidy, have been coming essentially. I'm hopeful that this will go a lot smoother this year, but in the past sort of 3 or 4 years, it has been sporadic.
Okay, thank you.
Resolution number 10, is a resolution approving and accepting the annual audit for FYE 6/30/2022 for the New Brunswick Housing Authority.
Excuse me, John, was that resolution 9 omitted?
No, I'm sorry. So resolution 9 was utility allowance. I'm sorry. Let me jump back. Resolution number 9 is a resolution ratifying and approving the revised utility allowance schedule for use in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Thank you, Commissioner Wallace.
No problem. You're welcome.
Chair, you need a motion and a second, and then I'll talk about it.
Motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. Every year, we do an updated utility allowance. We go out and use a company, Nelrod, as a third party. This year, we did have some substantial increases.
Right.
They do lag a lot of times because they're done on a 3 to 4 year rolling basis when they're looking back at their data. But we need to get this in place. This is funds that are eligible for our Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher clients, and they're sorely needed with the increases in utility costs.
Understood. And take a vote.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right. Now we are on to resolution number 10, which is a resolution approving and accepting the annual audit for FYE 6/30/2022 for the New Brunswick Housing Authority.
Move.
Second.
This is our annual audit, and I'm very pleased that we had no findings this year. Again, this was for the period ending 6/30/2022. And it was sent out separately in advance of the
Yes,
board
okay,
package, so they
okay,
can take a
yeah,
look at it.
okay. Yeah, that was my question. If it
Yes.
was- Okay.
Okay.
Ready, Chair?
We vote. Ready.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 11 is a resolution approving and awarding a contract for general fee accounting services for the New Brunswick Housing Authority to Polcari and Company.
Motion.
Move.
Second.
That was Commissioner Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Okay. This is our annual fee accounting to advertise. We advertised twice. We received one response back, so it was scored. It is our current provider, and the amounts are well within our budgeted cost estimate for the activities. Our fee accountant works in various areas of the authority, and we're very pleased that they responded, and they were the highest responding score to the public solicitation.
Okay. We'll take a vote.
Yeah.
Commissioner Walde.
No, I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Is this the same company which did the audit?
No, we don't use the same company for the audit as we do for the fee accounting work.
I mean, fee accounting, I'm sorry. The fee
Yeah, this is fee accounting. This is general fee accounting. Audit is a different.
How come we didn't have any bidders? You said he was the only bidder.
Yeah, we advertised twice. I don't know. I will tell you that we get some years we get several responses. Some years we don't. I know it's tax season, so maybe that might have something to do with the with the lack of a lot of responses. But once it's publicly out there and advertised, we welcome all respondents that we can get.
Is the fee is that because of the fee that?
Well, no, it's a fee. It's a fee proposal. So they're proposing the fee.
Okay.
So some years we get 2 or 3. I think one year we got 4. Some years we get 1.
All right.
Ready, Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes.
All right. Resolution number 12 is a resolution approving the award of contract for professional risk management services for the New Brunswick Housing Authority to Alamo Insurance Group.
Motion.
I'll second.
The authority advertised twice again for professional risk management services. We do not pay for this. This is actually paid by the Joint Insurance Fund as a service for its members. Risk managers assist the Housing Authority with filing claims, with loading their assets and making sure that their coverage limits are correct, and also with training opportunities and options for staff. This is just one of the additional benefits that the Joint Insurance Funds provide for their members. As I said, it's very helpful to know that we have someone that's working with us and our staff. So we're very pleased. This was the highest scoring respondent.
No questions? All right. Let's vote.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes.
And resolution number 17 is a resolution approving and adopting the final version of the 2022 DCA budget for the New Brunswick Housing Authority. And I will explain that when we get there.
Motion.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Wallace. Chair, this has been a marathon. As you may know, while we submitted our budget some time ago, the DCA transitioned over to an electronic version. So they've been having some delays in getting all of those activities and actions. We just received back this final version for adoption. Once it is adopted, we'll send it back to the DCA and we'll be able to post it and move forward. I know we've been acting on this budget, but again, the DCA requires that we cannot, we have to take these sort of actions in that order. We're about ready to submit our 2023 budget, by the way, which you will see, if you'll see at the April meeting. So, I know there was a bit of delay, but they did change over to a completely electronic version now, where in the past we used to send a paper version. So there were some growing pains, I guess you could say, with that transition.
Okay. Any questions regarding it? Nope. Let's take a vote.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have, Chair.
All right.
And no need for closed session.
All right. We'll move motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, you made the chair? Chair, you made the motion? Okay.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Commissioner, ready for the vote?
Ready?
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
I
See you
have a
guys.
question.
You see
Good
it?
night.
John, could you stay on?